Hi Green Thumbs, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is my wish list plants of 2020. You'll find in this video that I have included the cost at the bottom of each slide that you're about to see. The cost is just an approximate estimate. This was what I could find on the internet at the time that I built the slides. It's no way, shape, and form what you are guaranteed to pay. You could pay more if the plant is bigger, or you could pay less if the plant is more readily available either in your area or there's just a surplus of them on the internet at the time that you're purchasing these plants. So I just kind of wanted to put that out there for everybody. Another revelation that I had as I built this video was that the plants I'm looking at are kind of expensive, and I'm okay with that, and I'm going to explain why. I did what I think so many of us begin by doing. I purchased pretty much any plant that I could find that I didn't already have within my collection when I was out looking around at Lowe's or Home Depot or any big box store. And there's nothing wrong with that. But as I progressed within my hobby and as my collection grew, I really learned what plants I loved, which plants did well within my home, and which plants just really kind of didn't do it for me. So I would give those plants away to friends or family, or sometimes they just die, or possibly even sell some of them. The point to that is, I think you learn from trial and error what thrives well within your home, what plants you get joy out of, what plants you look forward to taking care of, and what plants kind of feel more tedious and more like a chore for you. In 2020, I want my houseplant buying to be a lot more intentional than it has in years past. And what I mean by that is the plants that I'm looking at are more expensive. Yes, it's true. And I operate within a budget. If you haven't already established a plant budget for yourself, I highly recommend that you do. My plant budget I establish per month, so I have X amount of dollars that I allow myself to spend on plants per month. And that includes soil, it includes things like tools that I may need, whether it be scissors or fertilizer or humidifiers. All of that comes from my plant budget. I'm a big fan in setting that money aside so that you can enjoy your hobby without feeling guilty about your bank account hitting zero when you've bought too many plants for the week. I think we've all been there. We've all done that. So the plants that I am on the hunt for in 2020, I have chosen for a couple different reasons. Some of it is because it blends into the general aesthetic within my home. Some of it is maybe to expand a collection of that certain species. Some of it could be that I like the shape of the leaves or the variegation within the plant or the velvety texture. All of those things, I think, in my opinion, will lead to enhancing the collection that I already have. I've broken the video down into 4 different species of plant. The first one that we will go over will be the Hoyas that I'll be hunting for in 2020. Next will be our Anthuriums that I'm looking for, followed by the Philodendron. And then the last category is kind of all the plants that don't fall into the preceding 3 categories. So without further ado, let's get started. The first plant I'm searching for this year is the Hoya carnosa Chelsea. It's a fairly common plant. I know that folks have found it at big box stores, so I'm hoping to get that lucky this year. I don't know that I would go out of my way to spend a lot of money on this plant, but if I see one in my travels, I will certainly grab it. The next Hoya I'm looking for is the Obovata variegata, or Picta. This plant I did already have. If you remember way back when, I bought a 2-inch pot of this. Unfortunately, this plant didn't make it for me. I was pretty sad. I don't know what happened to it. I think I may have overwatered it. It just kind of rotted from within, and I wasn't able to save it or bring it back. So in 2020, I hope that I come across this. The Hoya Sunrise, I see more and more of this as time goes by. I'm looking to add this to my collection this year. You get the red tinted leaves from Sunstress, and this is just, I mean, it's gorgeous. How can you deny that plant? If I had this plant, I think I would put it outside over the summer months and just let it get this gorgeous red hue. What a beauty. Up next is the Hoya rotundiflora. Another gorgeous plant. I love the texture and the shape of these leaves. They remind me of like fingers or thumbs. I just think it's really neat. It's unique. I am all about the unique, different looking plants. This belongs in my collection. I've seen it most recently on Etsy. It's been very expensive, so I think I'll wait and see. As things get propagated and as things get sold, the cost typically comes down. I have no problem waiting a year or two to purchase this plant to add it to my collection. The next Hoya I'm looking for is the Hoyajunglema. This is a gorgeous plant. It is available in a standard green variety, however, I want it in this variegated form. I love the light pink, I love the hot pink, I love the almost completely white leaves. This is just a gorgeous plant. If I ever found this domestically and I had room in my plant budget for it for the month, you bet your bottom dollar I'm going to buy this plant. Even if it comes in a little 2-inch pot, I'm going to own this. This needs to be in my collection. And the last one I'm showing you is the Hoya carnosa compacta Jody Silver. Just when you thought you had your collection complete, when you were able to score the outer variegated Hindu rope, you find this one on Instagram and your mind is blown. So in my opinion, this one looks very much like the gray ghost that's out there. I'm not sure how they're getting these. I think, and I'm no expert and I don't know for sure, but I think probably what is happening is they are pollinating the gray ghost flower with the Hindu rope, with the Carnosa compacta flower, and they are creating these cultivars. And it's gorgeous. The problem is, I found this on, I think it was Hoya's website, and they were asking $250 for a 2-inch pot. So we will just admire this from afar and we'll probably never have this in our collection, but we can dream. And I wanted to show you guys that this plant exists. Moving into Anthuriums, I really appreciate the venation on this Angomarcanium. That's gorgeous. And it looks to be a rather large plant. Obviously, it would take a long time, if ever, for it to get that huge within your home. But otherwise, it's still a very gorgeous plant. I think this one reminds me of the Philodendron gloriosum, especially in a more juvenile state. I think that's part of the appeal in this plant for me. I actually was close to buying this earlier this week. And then it sold from out from underneath of me, so, you know, we'll keep looking. The Anthurium crystallium, this is just a gorgeous plant, very much like the Clarinervium. My untrained eye doesn't know much of a difference between these two plants. In my opinion, I think they are very similar. I'm sure if I had one sitting right beside the other one, I could probably pick it apart a little bit more. But I think it's a gorgeous plant and one I would like to have. Next up, we have the Crystal Hope. I think what I appreciate most about this plant is I love all the white within it. It has a variegated look to it. I think it's a gorgeous plant and I would love to have this. Fourth in the Anthurium bucket, I have the Magnificum, another gorgeous Anthurium. I mean, look at those leaves. These leaves get massive. It's a very pretty plant. Last in the Anthurium bucket, we have the Queen herself. This, I understand, is a pretty difficult plant to take care of. I'm not ready for this plant, but it's beautiful. And, you know, if somebody gave it to me tomorrow, absolutely, I would figure out how to take care of it. It's a pretty expensive Anthurium, so I'm not ready to bite that bullet yet, so to speak, but someday I'll have this. When I have the proper enclosure and I can properly maintain this plant in the humidity that it would like, I'll have this plant. Moving into Philodendron, we have the Sorridii. I mean, this picture kind of speaks for itself. I love the silver with on the leaves. Can you imagine a big, huge plant of that within your home? Oh my goodness. This is one I'm sure most of you are familiar with, the Melochrysum. I mean, again, these pictures just speak for themselves. It's almost neon in color. I'm sure maybe some of that is lighting. I love the green venation. I love the velvety texture. These leaves get rather large when they're in proper conditions. Just beautiful. Another philodendron I'm looking for this year is the Burl Marx variegata. I like the long shape of the leaves. I like the variegation. I've seen some of these where they appear to be a little more yellow, so I don't know enough about this plant. Do they start off yellow and they harden off and turn white as they mature, or is it two different variations? If you know, please leave me a note in the comments because I would like to know. The fourth philodendron I would like to acquire this year is the Florida Beauty. I am particularly fond of the shape of these leaves. Each one of these leaves appear to be incredibly different in variegation from the one before it. I think it's just very captivating. I could probably sit here and look at these leaves and the variegation all day. The last philodendron I'll be looking for this year is the White Knight. This particular plant, I will try to zoom in on this slide so that you can see. The stems on this plant are a really dark chocolate burgundy color, and they have a split of white. I just imagine this plant growing up a moss pool and being this big behemoth, beautiful plant. So the first plant in my all other species category is the silver dollar vine. I actually think that I've had this plant in my hand a couple times at local nurseries. However, I'm fairly confident that it was labeled wrong. It looked very similar to this. Again, I just think it's really pretty. I like the leaf shape. It does kind of have a silvery hue to it. Brings me to mind of Hoya, which I think is part of the reason that I'm so infatuated with it. So hopefully I can find this locally at a nursery and am able to correctly ID it, because this is neat. I would like to have this. I imagine this in a big hanging basket just trailing down. This slide and the next slide are two different Alocasias. I think I've pretty much figured out the Alocasia care with my Alocasia Frydek that I have, so I'm not too worried about buying an Alocasia and being able to keep it alive. However, in the middle of winter, I hear often and I hear reports that Alocasia don't ship well, so this will be something that I'll hold off and wait for spring or summer to purchase. The second Alocasia I would purchase this year would be its cousin, the dragon scale. Again, just these jewel colored leaves. The shape of the leaves, these will get very big in their native habitat. Within the home, I don't know that they'll grow too large, but I mean, that's gorgeous. It looks like a dragon skin. I just want to touch it. And then the last plant on my wish list is none other than the Monstera Thai constellation. I have the albo, I have the green. I feel I need to round out my collection with the Thai. I hope you guys enjoyed my wish list plants. How many of them will I buy? Maybe half, if I'm lucky. You know, these are the things that catch my eye when I'm scrolling through Instagram and when I'm looking around. So, you know, I just wanted to share with you. I thought it would be neat. Couple things before I go. If you have any care tips, if you have any of these plants, if you've had success, if you've had failures, please let me know in the comments. I would appreciate hearing from you guys. You know, I love to hear from you. I always respond as quickly as I can. And secondly, those of you that are on Instagram and you're following me, I started a hashtag for us because I would love to see your plants. You get to see my plants all the time, but I don't ever get to see yours. If you use the hashtag Casey's Green Thumb, I created a board for us so I can see your plants and the rest of us can see your plants, and I think that would be really cool. All right, guys, I will talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.